This conference will now be recorded.
All right, it is 5:36. This is the Finance Committee meeting. My name is Jeremy Graham. I'm here in the village, and we are doing this meeting remotely due to the pandemic. Let's go ahead and take a roll call first. We have Julie.
Here.
And Jeremy is here as well. And yes, we have Treasurer Sally Bennett, and we have
Here.
Sergeant Nick Hack as well. All right. Can I get a motion to approve the April 12th agenda? The minutes, sorry.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
All right, Jeremy Graham will second. Julie?
Yes.
And Jeremy says yes as well. Any disclosure conflict of interest?
None.
None.
No public comment as well. And then if it's all right with everybody, I'd like to jump right to the vehicle leasing so that way Sergeant Hack can get out of here. And then we'll move back up. Any issues with that?
No.
All right. So I know both police and public works have been working on attempting to lease vehicles instead of the continuous buying. And the goal was that the maintenance would be taken care of, but it'd be a lot less work. We don't have to worry about trying to sell it. Both police and with public works, we don't just get to have the vehicle and we're done. There's always those extra pieces of getting the police cars updated and all their equipment, getting the plows put on and all their extra packages. So we were hoping to go and make a better and cheaper solution. In my head, we would take the sinking cost funds that we've been putting in for the large items, add that to the current maintenance that we pay for our vehicles, and that would be how much money we would spend per year. And the goal would be that our lease would be cheaper than that. Is that making sense in everyone else's head, or is that just mine?
Well, the vehicle maintenance there are parts of it that aren't covered by the lease, I believe, right, Nick?
That is correct. And I don't know what those parts are at the moment. This is hot off the press from the dealer about 10 minutes ago.
And in addition, I don't think we can get rid of our entire sinking funds because there's still other parts, possibly with police.
Possibly, yeah. Because this quote encompasses the upfit of the patrol car. So that would be all the equipment being purchased and installed by our outfitter.
Okay. And then I know for public works as well, it'd still be not necessarily a large equipment fund, but they still need to replace their things eventually, their wood chippers and everything else. So there'd be some sort of a sinking fund there as well.
I didn't quite hear what Nick said. What were you saying about the equipment, Nick?
This quote will include all of the upfitting and the equipment installed into the vehicle.
The lease quote you're talking about.
Yep.
Okay.
What are the length of term for the lease?
I've got one here for 3 years and one here for 5 years. And I'll email this stuff out. Like I said, I was waiting for all of my numbers to come in, and they finally came in at the 9th hour.
As I was connecting to the meeting, he got the phone call. So. All right, so let's talk about the damage here.
All right, so for the 2021 Chevy Tahoe, which is the police vehicle that was selected, the price has gone up since we purchased our 2020 by about $2,000. So for that same package vehicle, we're talking $39,556. And then with some dealer installed options that would help our upfitter and curtail some of the cost, was another almost $1,000 for dealer installed options that it's pre-wiring for some of the equipment that goes into it. If we were to pay our upfitter, it would cost us about $1,800 instead of the $1,000 to have the dealer make it that way. So that's just the cost of the vehicle. The cost of the equipment with the install is $11,000. It's all the lighting, the siren, the partition between the front and the back seat, the center console, the charge guards that are installed to ensure that the batteries don't run down. And that is for them to order all the equipment and install it all under one roof. It's the same company that we've done the last 3 squad cars through, and we've been pretty happy with their work.
Is that Tri-City?
Yep, that is Tri-City. So on a 3-year lease for the vehicle and all the registration for it and the equipment, the total cost of the vehicle is $52,590, which is about what we spent on the 2020 respectively. Now, a 36-month lease, the total payment on that is $1,363.33 every month, which comes out to $16,359 per year, or a grand total of $49,079 for the entire 3-year lease.
How'd we save the $3,000? 3.5. From the 52,590.
Because that's over the course of the total lease. So because we're only really leasing, we're not buying the car totally.
So is the top part just how much the car cost in general? If we were to buy it outright,
Yep, if we were to buy everything outright.
So we're saving $3,000, but not getting a vehicle to sell later.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Now, if we were to do a 5-year lease, our annual payment would be $11,599.56, and the grand total that we would spend over that course of 5 years would be $57,997.80. And this is for a 20,000 mile a year lease. I asked him for 15, but he must have gone a little bit higher for me for some reason.
So that would be the next question, and there's no problem staying under the 20,000 a year.
I can't imagine we have a 2013 that's only got 84,000 miles on it right now. And our
So
27. Sorry, go on.
I'm sorry. If I could clarify, that first year that you received the vehicle, you would pay the $11,000 to Tri-City, and then the payment amount, the $16,359, and then the subsequent 2 years would be the $16,359. Is that right?
No, that is 16,359 period. That includes all the equipment.
Oh, okay.
That's all rolled into one payment.
Got it.
So how many years are we keeping our cars on average, Nick? Is it 3 or 5 or what?
Typically, it was 3. When I first got here, we had an 05, and I got here in 14, and we ended up getting rid of that in 15. So, I mean, we had that one for 10 years, but it was an unmarked car. It really wasn't used for patrol work. Currently, all 3 of our squad cars are marked, and the way that our policies work is that if there's an unmarked car on the street, there must be a marked car as well. So that point is kind of moot at the moment, just because all 3 of our cars have full markings. So all 3 of them can be used at any time. The Taurus, when we transitioned over to SUVs, the Taurus kind of wasn't being used too much, because why would you drive a sedan when you can drive an SUV? Especially in the winter, you sit up a little bit higher, you see a little bit more of the road. Currently, that is a car that is used every day by the day shift, and the miles are starting to rack up on it. Ideally, it was 3 years is what we were putting in. I think Sally, that sounds pretty accurate. We got one in 15. Actually, 2 years.
Yes.
We got one in 15. We got one in 17.
Well, the
Yeah,
reason for that was because there was a seizure of a drug vehicle, and
Right.
that paid for, once we were able to sell that, that paid for a car outside of the typical sinking fund.
Because we sold that for 28,000. And then we sold a marked car at the same time for about 6 or 7. So that really did help get it up and going a year earlier than anticipated.
So in this process, would there be 3 leases at the same time, or would there be some sort of a transition? Have you guys talked about that?
That I don't really have a good answer for, other than it would probably be there would be a transition period in there, because we currently don't put we put $16,000 a year away now in the sinking fund. And even in this fully marked, ready to go brand new Tahoe, we're almost putting 12,000 into it. So yeah, I would imagine that we would probably have to step it so that it works out being every 3 years or so, kind of what we're doing now.
Mhm.
Wait a minute.
But go ahead.
What do you say in the Tahoe? We put 12,000 of maintenance in it?
No. That at the low end for a lease, $12,000.
Okay. So I'm trying to wrap my head around this, because right now our only costs every year are the 16,000 sinking fund plus any maintenance on all 3 vehicles, correct? And now we're
Correct.
going to
And
do 16,000 times 3 a year, which is quite a bit more, I would think.
Right, and I don't think that we would ever do 3 at one time, because that just isn't feasible for our budget. Yeah, like I said, I just got these numbers and I wasn't terribly impressed with them when I got them. But I mean,
I think the idea would be that they would all be at least, young vehicles, right? And no more 10-year-old cars.
Right.
Yeah, I think our whole look at this is to go lease or don't go lease. So that's why when we stagger them, when we're ready to retire a car, we would do a lease. I think we talked about this maybe before you got to police, Nick, the other day. So we talked about the staggering of, buying when our next one's about to expire, or we realize the useful life is getting there, then we would look at the leasing option for that. But within 3 years, we're going to be having 3 cars on 3 different leases at 16,000 a piece, give or take. So if you took, yes, I don't know if we pay 16,000, or I don't know what we pay in maintenance a year. I don't think it's as high as even 16,000. So that's taking our cost of the.
Do you have a copy
We
of the-
budget about 10,000 for maintenance of the 3 cars.
Okay.
Yep, there you go.
So 32-ish, 33-ish per.
Yeah,
So-
like right now, the Taurus was getting the most of that because of its age. The Explorer, the 2017, was getting, mid from there, and the Tahoe, we weren't putting much into the maintenance budget just because it's a new car that's under warranty for 100,000 miles.
Mhm.
So we're looking at now really 26,000 a year. And I mean, we could lower it to, because there's still some, we still have to pay for tires, we still have to pay for
Correct.
oil. So we'll say 5,000 in maintenance. So now we're at 21,000 a year that we put toward vehicles that could go one way or the other.
Well, per vehicle though, eventually when we get them all on lease.
Right.
Well, yes, our budget currently is, if we were to just switch to a lease right now, we would have 21,000 that we could put toward it.
I think by this, the difference is.
So we would still be almost tripling our payments by putting all 3 of them on there.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a pretty spendy endeavor. Like I said, I wasn't expecting this high of a number, but I'm looking at the breakdown, and I see where the total's coming from, and just a lot of money.
And we also don't have an asset to sell or to trade in at the end of it.
Correct. Now, this lease, if at the end of the lease, there's a residual value of the vehicle. He did all of these pretty low. After 3 years, he only valued this car at $9,992. And after 5 years, $5,259. Once we were to end the lease, turn the vehicle in, and they did their inspections and took all of our equipment out of it, if they decided that it was worth more than that money, or more than this number here, we would get that to use as credit towards our next lease. They called it an open-end lease as far as the value of the vehicle. And since this dealership has never really dealt in police vehicles other than selling them outright and not leasing, he said that he valued them pretty low. And most likely we would end up getting the better end of that deal than the dealership, but he's also a car salesman, so let's keep that in mind.
Right.
Fair.
So
So-
those values don't do anything for us unless they're better, unless they somehow appraise them at better than that, right?
Correct. Correct.
It's been a long time since I did lease math.
So would the department be interested in the 5-year terms? Because that would bring
I
it
think
down
it-
to 35 grand a year, up from 26, you know. But you have
I can
some
see that
old
working.
cars.
Well, honestly, I can see that working, especially with the fact that on fleet vehicles, GM is offering a 5-year, 100,000-mile warranty on the vehicles. So anything major that would go wrong with it would be covered under that warranty. And honestly, the Tahoe, the engine and transmission package that they're putting in these vehicles are pretty well known for being well put together. And there's a reason why they hold their value in the in the used market. You know, if you were to go look for a used police Tahoe 4-wheel drive pursuit package, there's still people out there selling them for almost $20,000 with well over 100,000 miles on them. It's a ridiculous market, really. Considering I know how some of these vehicles are driven, I'm surprised that they get that much money.
At what age of the car, Nick, are you seeing the maintenance prices really going up? Is it year 3? Is it year 4?
With our Explorer or 17, we honestly haven't put too much work into it, knock on wood. But I know that at about 85,000 miles, if not taken care of, there are issues that fail. Like the transmission on the Explorers is kind of known for failing. The sheriff's office, they ordered 33 of them back in 2018, and they're all averaging about 100,000 miles at this point. And a lot of them are in for repair for some pretty heavy lifting items like the power transfer units, the transmissions, the entire emission systems are just failing on them, and that's big money. We sold our 2015 Explorer to a security company, and we noticed that it had a little bit of a stumbling on higher RPMs. Couldn't figure it out. They took it, they put about $1,000 into it. It still did the same thing, and then it ended up spitting out a transmission. But then they went and they put a brand new transmission in it, and now it's right as rain, but they're into the whole car for the cost plus about $6,000.
Mm.
So they've put some money into it at about 85,000 miles. Now the Taurus is the same drivetrain, and again, knock on wood, we haven't had too many issues with it other than like electrical issues and smaller things that probably could have failed a long time ago, but they didn't. But I am getting to a point where I'm a little afraid that something will end up happening to that car and we'll be back down to just 2 patrol cars.
I'm sure it changes all the time, but what are we normally getting when we sell the vehicles? like the SUVs?
So when we sold that SUV, we sold it for 8,000.
And it was how old?
It was a 2015. We sold it at the beginning of this year, so it was 5 years old.
So 5 years old, you get 8 grand back,
Mhm.
roughly.
Roughly.
So
And-
from 52, you get 8 back.
I would imagine the Tahoe would probably get a little bit more than that, but just because it's body on frame, actual selectable 4-wheel drive instead of all-time all-wheel drive. I think we'd probably get a little bit more money out of that one.
Okay.
I almost would like to put together a spreadsheet thinking like with this 5-year option, say we'll just call it 12,000 for the first year. So for instance, if we got one in 2022 and we spent 12,000 on the lease and put that additional 4,000 from the original sinking fund in the sinking fund, and then figured out a stepped plan for getting the initial, when are we buying the next one after that, and so on, and just seeing where we fall with how we use the sinking fund now.
Mhm. That makes sense. And
Yeah,
so
and then another chart.
do we just have one potential provider, Nick, that we're looking at, or is there other options?
I looked at Enterprise Leasing, and they would only deal with us if we were doing 7 or more vehicles. And this is, I've got the rates, and I'll email it to you guys so you have it for leasing. We have the general idea. If we could find a better lease option than 5.25%, then we could go that route. Because we already know how much the car is, how much the equipment is. And no matter what, if we decided if we were going to either lease or just purchase the vehicle outright, that's the price of the car because it's the state bid price. So it's not like another dealership would be able to undercut that price alone, unless they had one that was sitting on the lot, from last year's stock, which I'd be okay with too. They made a small redesign in the 2021 Tahoe, so that's part of the reason why the price went up a little bit.
Are they expecting that we would do the whole fleet at the same time? Do you know, or could we
No, they're not.
one off?
They know that this would be a tiered step, or even I flat out told them, I said, I'm looking for numbers. I can't guarantee you that we're going to do anything. I'm on a fact-finding mission, so give me what you got. And I made it very clear that there was no implied, yes, we're going to go directly with you guys if this works out.
And Nick, did you say that they have never leased before? They've only sold?
They've never leased a police vehicle. They've only ever sold them. So leasing for police vehicles for them is a new market.
Is insurance covered by this, or is our insurance our own?
Insurance, it would be our IML.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some leasing places, the insurance is
Yep,
built in.
I got you. Nope, it would still be the municipal insurance options.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
And you
so-
had mentioned
Well, that end of lease value, that's the only thing that bothers me. You said the number's low. You're telling me they've never done it before. It'd be nice to be able to get another quote from someone, but I understand people that don't want to mess around with 1 and 2 and 3 cars. So maybe there isn't another viable option to review.
And like I said, we could shop around to see what other leasing options a bank might have for us. We might get a better rate than, like I said, he quoted us at 5.25 for the 5-year and 5% for a 3-year lease.
High in today's world, isn't it?
That's what I
5%
thought.
a quarter?
Mhm.
I haven't made a
Now we
car
have
payment in a
totals.
really long time. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know lease
Maybe
rates.
I'm looking at it that way too.
I can get a 15-year mortgage for 3.25.
Right? We'll just take out a mortgage and then we'll get somebody.
There you go. Mortgage Village Hall.
Perfect.
I don't think it would pass the inspection.
Better after all the repairs we made.
Hey, we're not talking about the police garage. Come on.
Now,
Jeremy-
sorry, you had talked about the another vehicle.
I did speak about doing an administrative vehicle to get all 3 of our marked patrol cars ready for patrol use. Because right now, the chief is using a marked car to drive back and forth to work, go to meetings and stuff that he's got to go to, which I'm a proponent in the chief of police having a take-home vehicle. However, I did do a little bit of research. I had them give us a quote on a couple different types of vehicles for leasing for an administrative car. One of them was an SUV, and the numbers on that they were high, almost $6,000 for an SUV a year, just as an unmarked administrative use vehicle. I thought that was a little high, but I also had them give us a lease quote on a mid-size sedan, and that actually came out to be pretty decent. In the 3-year lease, they came out to $35,6508 a year. And then in the 5-year lease, that came out to $33,1632. And the vehicle wouldn't only be used for the chief's, use back and forth to work and stuff like that, but also if we sent an officer away to training for a week, then they would just give that car to that officer to use rather than the department renting a vehicle or taking a marked car out of service so that they could go to Southern Illinois and be gone for that amount of time.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys just went to a conference, correct?
Yes, we did.
How did you guys get there? How was it?
We used Chief White's personal vehicle.
Okay, and then do you get reimbursed? You put in for fuel reimbursement?
We did not do that, no.
Okay, is that the normal protocol if you work?
Typically, yes. If you were to take your own vehicle, you'd put in for mileage and per diem and all that, but we opted not to do that.
And you did not do that, did you say?
Correct.
Why not?
You might have to ask the chief on that one. He decided not to put in for per diem on that.
No, that's not right. That's got to be our policy, isn't it, Sally?
Well, it's a policy that they can submit it, and I want to say that the new travel policy, when I say new, couple of years ago that we passed, I think there's a time limit on turning that in. So I
I believe you're correct.
can verify that, but yeah, it's, if he wants to absorb that cost, we can't force him. But
I'll talk to him.
And I know we've got officers that do that quite regularly. If they go away to a training, they take their own car so that they're not driving a billboard that says police on it. Because I can tell you from personal experience being in downtown Chicago in a Winnebago police car, somebody sees something wrong and they come running right up to the squad car because they want to talk to a policeman about it. And in today's current climate, it's not always the best.
would
I
the
agree.
gas cards work for you guys in different cars? Would you be able to just take one and use it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it does ask for the mileage of the vehicle,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, you could really put anything in. But yeah, it does ask for the mileage of the vehicle and obviously our employee PIN that we all, each one of us has assigned to us.
Are you talking about for personal use, Sally?
Well, they're for the squad cars, but if they're going to a training thing, you know, it's all, it's just their department fuel, so that would be a simple way not to have to turn in your mileage and do all the work. You could just use the card.
Yeah, I don't feel good about that because that's not really their full compensation back. You know, you got maintenance and, you know, that mileage fee has got gas embedded and just wear and tear on the vehicle. So, and then you start mucking up, you know, personal and police cars and that gas card. I feel a whole lot better with reimbursing them for their full wear and tear and keeping it clean, you know, otherwise it's a little.
Yeah.
And fun
True.
fact, there are no mobiles south of I-80. I learned
Really?
that this week.
There's no
Yeah, I
what?
was in Springfield and our gas cards are through mobile.
Okay.
And I was in Springfield and I could not find a mobile. I did not find a mobile till I got back way up north.
So that
it
would have
was,
been a
it
problem.
was fun. Yeah.
Another option would be petty cash. Could turn in gas receipts and get cash from Kelly. But again, that doesn't account for the maintenance like Julie was saying. So, however, there are other ways.
Yeah, I want to talk to him about that. I mean, you guys really should be doing that. I mean, if you're driving to Chicago or driving to Bloomington, wherever you're going for that kind of a distance, I mean, going to the courthouse is one thing, even though you should even do that, but going, you know, 2 hours away and your personal vehicle should be reimbursed. I don't know. I'm on the fence on this administrative vehicle. I have to tell you, Nick, I don't know that we're big enough for it, to be honest, but plus I'd rather save money for salaries than than for kind of the luxury of an administrative car if people would really go for the reimbursement on their wear and tear on their own vehicles for training and things. But
Right.
Oh, on the other side too, is we could get one admin car for the village as a whole. And then when Frank goes to a meeting as well, it wouldn't necessarily come out of police fund then
Right.
if that's the case. But if we got one admin vehicle in general, if with all the different meetings, people go places, that might not be a bad idea to look at. We don't discuss that right now, but just in general.
Well, and if it was ever decided to lease, I have numbers on a mid-size sedan.
That's right.
And an SUV, which I
Yeah.
pretty expensive.
Are there any more questions for Sergeant Hack? Hearing none, is there anything else you'd like to share with us?
No, I think I'm good. I will email the three of you the leasing paperwork so that you have it and you can take a look at it. Feel free to email me any questions or call, and I will gladly answer anything I can.
Sounds great. We appreciate you coming. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful night.
Nick.
Take care, everyone.
thanks, bye.
Grab my water.
All right. Uh-oh, we lost Ally.
I think she said she's grabbing the
Just
water.
gonna get a water.
So as far as the Public Works goes, I did send you the quote that they had for the Public Works meeting. And the Public Works is still they feel that it is a much better deal still.
What, the leasing?
Correct. Unlike we'll have to really crunch the numbers there for the police.
Mhm.
What internet am I connected to? Why is this so bad?
I know, you guys have been blurry the whole meeting. Sally's not.
Oh, we've been blurry, you said?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, you said the internet was down earlier and.
I
So while
figured
I
it
finish
was
trying to
for
look-
Aura, you know.
Okay, so for the village, not the village, Public Works. What were our sinking funds again for those? I know it was the same for streets and.
It's 45,000 each per year.
$90,000 total. And if my understanding is correct here, the plan is to lease everything.
That's what I thought,
So
but
trading
I don't know if they
Yes.
can lease everything. Do you, Jeremy?
Why do you say that?
Well, part of
Why are
the
you thinking-
sinking fund goes for things like backhoes and, skid loader. I don't know if that's the same thing.
I So yes, so all 90,000 we would not be able to account for, because you're correct. There are some things. Now, these are supposed to come fully rigged. So like the snow plow and the kit and the little flippy switches, same thing like police. They've got all that random junk that they add on.
Mhm.
So I would guess it's not a good way to start, but I would guess probably 10,000 of that, of the 90, would suddenly be put away for equipment in general. So we're looking at
Okay.
80,000 freeing up from the sinking fund. And then for maintenance wise, maintenance of service buildings. You haven't had their maintenance ones on hand? Here we go. So 8,000 for streets.
Sorry, I don't know offhand.
Oh, it's okay. I'm looking at police. I got this fancy budget here now.
12,000 for, it says maintenance service equipment under O&M, and it's 12,000.
Okay. Oh, and M is 12,000. So about 20,000 in maintenance a year. But again, I would guess that not all of that is for the vehicles. So we take off 5,000 for other maintenance. So we're looking at 15,000 maintenance for a total of 95,000 a year.
Okay.
Everybody following that? I'm
How much
correct me
meat?
if my numbers wrong. So
How
we see 20,000 in maintenance. And so we're going to guess that only about 15,000 of that is for vehicles.
So 105 is our total cost for 2 sinking funds and that?
Well, he was
I
saying
got
to
it, one-
hold back 10,000 for the sinking fund to continue for equipment that's not part of the lease. And then an additional 5,000 for maintenance in the budget. Right? Did I understand that
That
right,
is correct.
Jeremy? So
That
it
is
would be,
correct.
it would knock down the equipment or the vehicle annual amount to 80,000 instead of 90. And then 10 would go into sinking, and then the maintenance items added together minus that 5,000 would be 15, so it would be 95,000.
I appreciate you being following me on that. It made sense in my head. And based off of this, and from what I remember here, we're trading in all of the vehicles, all of the trucks, like the pickup trucks and those types of vehicles, the red ones.
I'm pulling up the quote.
And this is what you just sent us at 5:15 I'm supposed to be looking at, right?
That is correct. I was thinking about it and I went back and looked and you weren't included on that original one. So.
Oh. So we're looking at about 6,700 a year per truck. Am I looking at that right?
I believe so.
A lot of different numbers here. Plus,
Numbers
they
on
have big cash down payments in the lease contract here. So do we have to take the annual amount plus all these down payments?
Hmm.
Let's see, so there's the original price for this one truck, minus the trade-in value. There's cash difference, the fee, licensing total 34,617.
I'm not even looking at the same thing you are. Are you looking at the email from 5:15?
The first thing's the Bacher Group,
Well, is
and
the
then it goes
first
to
page
Bunker for the second.
blank? My first
Mine
page,
is not, no.
Oh. Um,
my second page is a 2021 Chevy Silverado 2500 with a vehicle price of 44,716.45. That's my first page.
Yeah, that's the second.
Okay, my first page looks like somebody covered it up with a piece of colored paper, so I don't know what that's about, but so in that, when you look at the details, they have a cash down payment of 11,500 on this to get the price down per month.
That is the trade-in of the
of the current
2002
vehicles.
Ford F-250. Yes, that's the trade-in of, that's on the first page. That's where they get the trade-in from it.
Okay. My internet is very slow because I'm looking at it over the remote connection.
So I've got on that sheet, it's 6624. And then the next page, oh, the next page is the same thing over 5 years. And they give you a 5.25 rate. So the same interest rates as Nick just quoted, really. So if,
After
for
they
this,
said 99% sure it's the same company.
oh, it's the same company?
Yeah, I'm 99% sure that was the case. And that's why we were trying to do both of them.
I have to get out my book on my lease math. I just can't remember the things to look at.
So is this two? Silverado.
As you scroll down further, there's another new vehicle and they're trading the 2013 F-150. And so that one is, so one payment is going to be 60, where'd it go? For the 3-year is a 662410. And then for the 5-year was 575051. That was for truck number 1 with the 2012 trade-in.
Mhm.
Truck number 2 is a 2013 trade-in. And for 3 years, we're looking at 684538. And a 5-year of 561493.
And that's because the trade-in value is lower. Okay.
Yeah, you'd get more for the 2013, yes, than you would for the 2012. The 2013, their trade-in was worth.
Now I'm getting it. Okay, so they have a 3-year and a 5-year lease on both of those Silverados. Then oh, that's all there is in this?
I just see two vehicles. that what everyone else sees?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on page 7 though, so I'm not sure where this goes.
Yeah, the Silverado, I think there was a 1,500 and a 2,500. Is that right? No idea what the difference between the two of them are, but that's okay. Guess one's bigger.
Yes.
Mhm. 250 and a 150.
Oh, goodness.
Oh,
So then, do these prices include, and I know you may not know, Jeremy, I'm just asking, do they include the plow?
random stuff?
What?
I don't know. That's what you're asking though, right?
Oh, okay. I'll write that down.
Do- Now, there's paperwork that's showing all of the cost, the line item cost of all the things that they need to have added on, like the snow plow prep package, well, let's see, this is 47,290 for the total. And how much was this vehicle?
I wonder how long it'll take me to print this. That would be so much easier than trying to scroll, and
Up and down?
it's very slow moving because it's over the remote session.
Yeah, I don't see anything on these additions that say anything about a plow package or anything.
It was somewhere down there. So factory installed options that include strobe lights, crossbar, crossbox. And so that was all included in the price. Where's my?
Gosh, my computer's gonna die. I'm just gonna relocate here so I can get plugged in.
I'm gonna go see if my print made it.
Okay,
It's in another room. I'll be right back.
that's fine. I really want to say that it's all included and everything that they needed.
Yeah, I have no idea what these types of trucks cost. It's not a market I am in it ever. So no.
No, me neither.
Nope. Hasn't printed yet.
Holy cow, that's slow.
I think because it was in an email attachment over my remote connection and it was so many pages, it was just a lot. But
So are they looking for us to make a decision today?
They it is on the agenda for approval from the Public Works if it moves forward, yes.
Have you guys looked at these numbers in detail, or do they just throw them together and say, give it to finance to figure out?
They've discussed, it was discussed at Public Works and everyone, Mike and Chad and Jimmy, everyone was happy with it.
so this looks like their costs would be pretty good in the budget anyway.
Yes. And I'm sure they're still gonna, I bet you that 10,000 that we guessed for sinking costs, I'm sure it's gonna be a lot higher because we didn't think about the this or the that or the that. But regardless, pet spending, what is that? if you get 2 vehicles for 5 years, spending 12 grand for these things with the repair. I know our guys do a lot of their own maintenance as well. So if it's covered and it's cheaper, or it's covered anyway, I think it's going to be a very good a lot of savings.
I think it would too. They have things like dump trucks. Is that leasable? I don't have their equipment list here at home, but I definitely can get that and try to look it over
I
and
do.
figure out what we should put aside for how much, But I guess we also
so-
do have money in the fund.
Correct.
I'm really,
Oh, we didn't think about the mowers. We're gonna need a lot more. There's the zero
Yeah,
turn mowers, tractor. There's 2 pickup trucks with snow plows. That's what we replaced here. Dump trucks, a 1-ton truck, a payloader, a skid loader. Those apparently are different. Excavators, water main break trailer, wood chippers, generator, the Herco, fueling stations.
can I ask a basic
though,
question? Because this doesn't make sense to me. So we just got done getting numbers on these police cars. And the price of the vehicle wasn't that much different than these, yet we want 16,359 a year versus 6,624 a year. Something's not making sense.
Oh, about how much better of a deal the public works is getting here than the police?
Yeah, I mean, so we have a 40, looks like actually a 44 plus 9,800 in installed options. Yeah, there's a fleet allowance. Maybe that's the big difference. But anyway, it's a $50,000 vehicle, give or take. And for 3 years, the payment is $66.24. Yet in the police car, which is a similar price, the annual payment is
$10 grand a year.
$69. Something doesn't make sense to me. Now, okay, wait a minute though. We did do the trade-in, so the 11.5 is taken off. And actually, shouldn't there be the same in the police? Shouldn't they have removed something because we're going to trade in those cars, right? Or are we going to just try to sell them when we go to lease? Maybe that's the
That I don't know. I mean, even if we took and we traded it in, if we sold it back at 10 grand.
yeah, I'm gonna see if that's on
it's
my
still gonna be
printer
cheaper.
yet.
Public Works still has a much better deal.
Well, the other thing you need to keep in mind, you're not going to have I don't think we don't get this value at the end of the lease, do we, or do we? So this end of lease value of whatever it said in here. So all I'm saying is for the first time we lease this, we have a trade-in. We're not going to have a trade-in going forward, so that price is going to go up once we get off the first lease and roll into the second lease.
Correct. So in 5 years from now, we're going to be paying more. Or
Right.
3 years from now, whatever we chose.
We're not going to have the 11.5 to subtract to bring it down to 34,000 on the capitalized cost.
So
It's going to be 45 or whatever the vehicle costs at that point. But now we've put ourselves on a path to always lease, so it's not like you have to then buy a car or buy the truck if you want to get back on that path again.
True. That is true. This would be a one-time.
I think we need to spreadsheet these things. I like Sally's idea doing that and figure out what these numbers really look like as we roll through the leases. And how long do they think they would keep a vehicle like this? If they go for 3 or 5?
Well, currently they have a 2012 2012 and a 2013. Now I know they're not in the best shape, but I think we could go 5 years. Because right now we've got one that's 9 and one that's 8.
Yeah, I think we need to.
So I like the idea of the spreadsheet. And I think that we can bring this to the board, not as a recommendation from the committee, but as a, hey, here's what we've got, boom, boom. This is what it looks like. Let's take a vote on it as a board.
And I suppose in the scheme of things, of the 90,000 that they have for sinking every year, if they want to take whatever it is for leasing and then sink the rest, I mean, they're making that choice.
True.
Because the 45 and 45 was just our best guess at what they would need.
So every year we do 45 in streets and 45 in O&M for all vehicles, like plows, everything.
Everything.
Correct.
Dump truck.
And I have the list here. They have a ton of equipment. It's way more than you'd ever
Yeah.
possibly imagine.
Probably about 7 or 8 years ago, we put together a spreadsheet and then we asked the life cycle of each piece of equipment. And then it was probably not the 100% proper way that that's done, but we just tried to figure out a plan of, you know, how much each vehicle would need per year to meet its replacement time frame. And then
Here we go.
it ended up being about 90K. So that's why we started doing that. But since then, we've replaced things, so I really don't know where we're at on that spreadsheet.
So one thing I
Now,
mentioned.
there's a lot of things, like there's like the replacement of the wood chipper, for example, still works, but it was supposed to be replaced years ago. Same with the salt spreader, a lot of the snow plows, because again, they do their own maintenance on it. So because of the way well they treat their equipment, they're able to keep it a lot longer than needed.
Mhm.
Well, not than needed, but then expected of the life expectancy.
So with those comments, moving to the lease is going to keep us in newer vehicles, which is going to increase our costs.
Increase or decrease?
Well, depends on how much is in maintenance on these older cars. You're saying we do our own. I know Chad saves probably the village a ton of money by doing the maintenance himself. You know, probably
Yes,
buys parts
absolutely.
or whatever and does that. Maybe he wants to.
And I mean, and insurance.
They also do the
And
oil
the amount-
changes for the police cars.
Oh, they do?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the other thing I noted when you were gone doing your printing, Sally, is, you know, these leases here also have the trade-in. We're going to get one time. So then as we renew these leases, the cost is going to be going up. We're not getting 11,000 credit and 8,000 or whatever that is on these lease agreements. So
Is there some type of credit for the car that's being leased, though, that gets turned in?
I always thought there was, but Nick was saying no, right? He said only if it's higher than and you know, how do you arbitrarily value what that is worth, you know, especially when there's money involved. Like I said, this is coming back to me very vaguely. I had to do leasing math for a test, but I've never used it because I don't advise people on leasing. That's not my business, you know. But that'd be important to understand. I really think it makes sense to kind of spreadsheet this and see what it would look like and what the cash flows would be and how it really would affect the budget.
If we keep those sinking fund amounts the same, how could we do it?
Correct.
That's what I think we should do. I would probably have time on Monday to start putting that together. I don't know if you wanted it before the board meeting, or if someone else wanted to do it.
I don't think
I do know, I will talk with Chad sometime between now and the meeting and get it confirmed of everything that we need. The big issue I want to say is that this was a limited time. Like, if we don't do this now, we are not going to get this good of a price. So I feel they need action this board meeting. So it does not have to come from committee. At least we're all aware of what's going on in the pricing.
Mhm.
I don't feel comfortable bringing it as a committee. Hey, we don't need a second, let's vote on this. But we should bring it for discussion and with enough information that it's a short discussion. It's not a 6-hour discussion for our board meeting. That we come up, hey, police, turns out, we're gonna hold off because it doesn't matter when, or it costs too much, but public works, we can do this. This is how it is. This is how we're gonna save money. And or the very least we'll save man hours, which in turn saves money.
Mhm.
Julie, are you
Well,
happy
I
with that?
can tell you from my opinion, I'm not going to vote. I will abstain from voting if I don't see the spreadsheet with the longer term plan here. I just can't make it. I can't make an informed decision without
Okay.
understanding how it all will work. That doesn't mean it won't pass, but I'm going to have a hard time voting for it when I don't understand it all. So, and
Okay.
Sam, we're
I will talk.
before the board meeting and enough time for me to look at it to make sure I understand it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I was really hoping Chad would be at this meeting to hammer these things out because I haven't had any communication with him about it at all. And I don't know if he wants my opinion, but,
We don't even have the
I
full
know
approval.
nothing.
I mean, we know we put in 45,000 for a whole bucket of vehicles, and we're saying we're saving money because we're not spending 90,000 with these. That's not even an accurate statement because we're putting in 45 for all of the vehicles. And what happens if we need
Correct.
the truck and
And
something
all-
else in the next year and it's way above 90? It's you got to look at it comprehensively.
I'll see if I can find the, well, let's see. For the pickup trucks here, the 20, the annual budget that we're putting away of that 90, the annual budgeted amount is 4,285 for the one and 3,571 for the other.
What are you referring to, Jeremy?
So the spreadsheet that Sally was discussing, you can't see this at all. I'm showing you, but you can't see this at all. The spreadsheet that Sally had mentioned before, I found a version of it. I don't know if it's the most updated version, but it looks like we're putting away approximately 8,000 a year of that 90 toward replacing these pickup trucks.
Okay.
And so we're going to go from
70,
So it basically double their, because that 3,500, it looks like is, well, it depends if we went with the 5-year or the 3-year, I guess.
I don't see why we wouldn't go with the 5-year. These trucks are from 2012, and yeah, they're barely hanging on, but we're even going to cut that in half, and they'd still be fine. So you're looking at 12, a high end 12,000 a year for the pickup trucks, and we're currently spending 8,000 net minus maintenance.
is that a spreadsheet you
So-
can send to me, Jeremy, too?
I would if I had an electronic copy. I can take a picture of it with my phone and send it to you.
Okay, I think you've sent this out before, Sally, once upon a time. I think I've seen this. I've seen it in some meeting. I don't know if it was board meeting or finance or what.
I created the original spreadsheet, but someone updated it a couple of years ago, and that's why I don't know if I have the good one or not.
Okay.
But I'll definitely look for it.
Yeah, it'd be good to, I mean, we do have to update it from time to time because obviously prices are going higher. And did we ever adjust the sinking fund when they adjusted the spreadsheet?
No, we have never adjusted the sinking fund, only for police, because originally we were only putting 10,000 in a year for police. And at one point we were like, well, if you divide the cost of a car by 3 years, there's no way this is coming close even. So,
And that was a couple of years ago.
yeah. So I
But
think
from what it looks like, I will talk I will talk to Chad for a final answer here, but it looks like we're going from 12,000 for new vehicles every 5 years with the maintenance basically taken care of, from $8,000 minus maintenance, and us having to do maintenance. So, I mean, it looks like we're about breaking even, and I don't have to worry about keeping vehicles forever. I sent you a picture of the spreadsheet.
Oh, geez.
You can zoom in to see, on the far right-hand side is the annual budgeted amount.
That doesn't look like my spreadsheet, maybe.
This looks similar to one I've seen
I
before,
suppose
so I don't know if it's,
Well, this is good because I'll see what I have in my database and if it matches up to this. And if not, I'll do a search in my email to see if I can, if someone updated it and mailed it out, maybe that's another way to find it.
Okay. So we'll try to put something together. I will talk to Chad and see if we can get an answer, because I know Public Works really wants to pass this at the meeting. And while we're doing that, we can also look at the police. The police doesn't look nearly as good. My personal opinion there. But there's not I don't think there's a time, like Nick was like, hey, we have to make this decision now for the Public
well,
Works one.
like you say, and again, it just seems like it's such a big gap on those two for a similar price vehicle. And I know there's a trade-in, and that's part of the answer, but it still seems like it's a big gap in those two vehicles as far as
Yeah, not 10,000. Trader note was only 10,000 total, and it's a savings of 10,000 a year.
right.
Mhm.
Weird.
Okay, so we'll put that in the back burner, and I will send you an email with what's going on, and then Sally, you and I can talk about making a spreadsheet
Okay.
and going from there. Hope, and then I'll have some time this weekend as well, so we can hopefully get it done before Monday, before the meeting. Good news is we don't have a finance meeting right before the meeting, so we will have a little more breathing room.
That's true. Now, thanks for this.
Oh, shoot, I won't have a breathing room. I have a meet, that's why we moved it.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm supposed to be back hopefully right at 7, maybe a little later. And I know Mike may or may not be there. So we'll see how that goes, but not to get off topic. Let's jump to the rest of our meeting, get this other stuff knocked out. And then we can come back to this with Mike. Otherwise we can move.
We passed our time.
Have a great night. All right. Azavar, any updates on that?
No update for Azavar.
Perfect. How about the audit? How's that going?
Well, I reached out to our auditors and I didn't hear anything for a week. And so I contacted Kurt Kleckler, the, I guess he would be the senior partner. They responded right away then, and we basically scheduled the audit for the week of June 14th. Typically it's March 14th. So they said that they were behind because April 15th turned into May 17th. So it, you know, for the accountants, they're all scrambling, and so we're getting started. They sent me a link to a secure portal for sending information. They will be in the village office doing field work that week of the 14th, but then before and after that, we'll do a lot of internet exchanging of documents and things. So.
Sounds good. And there's no negative impact on us by it being in June, correct?
I think if they get it done right away, it should be fine. Typically, when they do it in March, we always have to ask for that extension. So
Mhm.
we're required by the state comptroller to have our audit done 6 months after the end of our fiscal year. So that date is June 30th. And the extension that we can file for is a 60-day extension. So I'm hoping that they'll be able to fulfill that time frame. And I don't know if there are any, if it's loosened up because of the pandemic or anything like that, but that's what I know a typical year is like. So I'm just hoping that they'll be aware of those guidelines and follow through.
Sounds good. All right, 2021 budget. I looked through it. I didn't see anything that was crazy. Gambling was way up last month. But
I
otherwise,
don't know if
everything
I should
else
be
is good to
happy
me.
about that or not.
Just- All we need
Yeah,
now
actually,
is
the
pot
amount- we get a little, actually, we get a little more money in gambling. That'll cover the cost of one of those trucks for the whole year.
Yeah, there you go. I did notice
Julie,
that with the bid for, and I think we kind of talked about this at the board meeting last month, the bid we got for the Elida Street project will hopefully, if we stay within that guideline, we'll be able to pay the whole thing out of MFT. And I'm pretty excited about that because we can't really use MFT money for anything. So if we don't have to dip into the general fund for that big project, that'll be really good for us.
love it.
Other than that, I didn't really have anything to report on the budget.
Okay. Number 7, we talked about already, was the leasing the vehicles. Number 8, I dropped in the water bill delinquency. That was sent out yesterday, today?
Last night.
Okay.
that continues to
I know
look
we
good.
had everything all together. Awesome.
Yep. Kelly's doing a great job. And once we are able to continue doing shutoffs, I think that will clean it right up too.
I cannot find, where did it go? I was just looking at it, it had like 13 attachments. And it looked fine to me, there was no issues. I saw we got one lien that was moving forward. Or that was done, right?
Yeah, the lien was paid.
Here it is.
I don't have it in front of me, sorry.
Oh, that's
I
okay.
waited
Oh,
until the last minute to print my stuff and then I couldn't get connected.
I thought it looked good.
I still
okay,
have a
perfect.
scrolling thing for printing that document. It does not like it at all.
It'll come through right after we end the meeting here.
Exactly.
All right, moving on to the reconciliations then. March and April. Did I only see
I did
one?
not finish April and I was thinking about that and I really didn't give myself any time to get that done. I mean, I didn't get the statements until the 3rd and today's the 6th, so I had to do my report. I couldn't spend my time on that.
No problems.
But March
this is
looks
way early in the
good.
back. Yes. And on a side note, did you choose green because of St. Patrick's Day?
I did. Thank you for noticing.
I thought I remember October's being orange as well, but
I usually don't print them in color, but I have a new printer scanner at home here and it's just so easy.
any issues on this one, Julie?
Nope.
All right. Let's see, credit card review. Everything looked good on that end.
Yep.
My opinion.
Yep.
All right. Number 11, the policy project. So we've been talking about this the last few months, and Sally has done an awesome job on putting it all together. That was in an email.
Yeah, I sent that last week, I think. I didn't print that either for some reason.
Purchasing project. It was sent on April 28th, Wednesday.
So that's not the same thing that's in the 13 attachment email?
Oh, it could
Oh,
be.
it is. Yep.
Okay.
Right now, I gotta find that email again.
It was Wednesday
Here
at
it is.
9:46, yeah.
Got it. And it increased the police, streets, and the director of public works to the 3,500 we had discussed.
What did I do with that?
What?
I think I can open it
Now,
up.
the only thing I didn't see in here was about the purchase orders. I know we were set on we didn't need it, and then Mike had talked about wanting to have it from Public Works. I don't see anything about it, period, on here. Is that a different form?
No, I removed it because I thought we had agreed to eliminate that process.
Okay.
So you just
And do you
removed it.
remember? Yes, yes. Okay. And because you're the one that installed it and all that great stuff, and it ended up not working out. We discussed it the whole last meeting, and that was good. Mike did have one rebuttal with it. Do you remember what his reasoning was?
He sent me an email about it. Actually, I could just read it. His concern was that if a vendor gave us a quote for something and then invoiced us a different amount, we would have that quote. And he was using purchase order as, as an exchange for a quote, I guess. Let me see here. Mike.
And so verbally, he wanted something in writing. So I said, I'll give you a good deal, 5,000, and then they charge you 10. He wanted something in writing saying this is what you told me it was going to be.
Exactly. I explained to him the problem that we have with Public Works and the purchase order system. Here it is. So Mike said, I am in fundamental agreement with the draft policy. I am in disagreement with the comment about eliminating the need for purchase orders. If we have a firm quote or are ordering something online, I don't see the need for a purchase order. However, if someone is ordering goods or services without a firm quotation, I believe it is the best practice to have some sort of purchase order. This could be simply an email which clearly states quantities and pricing. While your draft includes making a payment for invoices, the purchase order or equivalent confirms pricing and volumes and reduces later debates and confirms who made authorized purchase. And my response to Mike was, there are several reasons why the purchase order system is not working for us currently. First, the amount is $500, and that is so low it creates extra work for all. Secondly, we need a software that will allow off-site employees to utilize the next sequential purchase order number, or it all goes off the rails. We currently have a binder with the triplicate paper purchase orders. Say that 3 times fast. No one follows the process because it's too difficult. It is a waste of the treasurer's time to chase down the people. Did I really say that? To chase down the people to sign off on purchase orders after the items have already been ordered. So he did respond back to that. Oh, how do I get out of here? Oh, I completely got out. Boy, my connection is terrible.
Well, but basically, from my understanding here then, is he just doesn't like verbal quotes because people can go back on their word by having a piece of paper with a written quote. It says who offered the quote, how much it was going to be, and the services that were going to be rendered for the product. And so there's
Exactly.
no going back and arguing with it later. Okay. And,
So-
that's very fair. I don't, the purchase order system that we are using, I don't think would solve that. Now, having just in general, if you need the sales invoice, how much is it going to cost? A quote, really, is all you need. So having something in there about needing a quote, if it's over blank amount, I think would be fine.
I do too. And I think if he's okay with a simple email, like in writing, then that's simple for our employees just to say, could you send me that in an email? And then I can turn that in, So
Perfect. So we need either, can we add in that policy then, something about either it needs to be an official or an unofficial, something in writing quote for purchases larger than X amount?
I guess, what do you think that amount should be?
Well, with the intent, so we raised their cost, their spending authority for $3,000. Would it want to be, it'd have to be under 3,000, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And 500 was obnoxious. Well, it was only obnoxious because of the system we had. Getting a standard quote is pretty simple. Like, hey, just give it on a piece of paper. I'm telling you, me telling you, this is how much it is, this is what it is.
Should we just
What if
leave it
we
at
left it at-
500?
That's what I was thinking.
I think we could do
'Cause
that.
Most everything comes with a sales invoice anyway, or something of that nature. So these are the very few and far exceptions.
I think we could require a quote for anything 500, over 500, and, it would, some municipalities sent me their policies, and some of them require 3 quotes for many of these purchases. So I don't think it's too much to ask that our employees ask for a written quote over 500.
Oh, and like I said, most of the time they're going to get something anyway. These are the very few times where you're negotiating over the phone.
And then,
Right.
Sally, how are you gonna save these like emails? You know what I mean? How are we gonna have that accessible and filed and, it's almost creating another system.
I would just print them and put them with the, I have a folder where I keep quotes, and I don't know what the other stuff are. Like, for instance,
Start moving more electronic. Why do we have to print them? Can't we just create folders or something and keep it all electronic?
well, I'm required to have all this information on paper. It's a government thing.
Oh,
So I mean, I could do it that way, but I still need to have everything in a file.
Okay,
Um,
good old government.
And the quote itself, one, I mean, you could theoretically get rid of it as soon as we actually we pay for it, because you don't need the quote anymore unless we want to keep it for historical purposes. But we're only going to be getting these quotes for anything that doesn't come with a standard price in general.
right.
So the binder should be pretty small.
Right. So if someone is, let's just use this as an example, buying something out of the Sears catalog and there's clearly an amount there, I mean, they don't really need to get a quote, you know?
Correct.
Right? I mean, is that what you mean?
Yes.
Sears catalog, really?
Just trying to give you a visual.
Oh, that's hilarious.
A millennial wouldn't even know what that was. Sorry, Jeremy, are you a millennial?
Yeah, I think I might be. It doesn't start like 1985 or something like that.
19, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm
Well,
not
we'll
sure,
fill it
I
out
just
later.
know
Let's do
I'm
some
not
research.
it.
Okay, so do we know
All
how
right,
we're
so yeah.
checking the policy then?
Sally?
Did you want to
Would you
do
be
the
able to,
500?
yeah, for any, it needs a quote for anything over 500 that is not clearly identified. The pricing is not clearly identified.
Okay,
And then other than that, I think it looks perfect.
You know, I have just two questions, and this gets nitpicky. So we have a committee chairperson having authority of 7,500 or less, and then the board 7,500 or more. I think we need to take that committee chair to like 74.99 to make it very clear where we want the whole board to approve. Does that sound stupid?
No, it's absolutely correct. 'Cause if it's exactly 7,500, who's doing it?
Yeah. So
okay,
maybe, up to, or, 74.99, whatever we want to do, and make it clear that anything 7,500 or above has to get board approval.
Yeah.
Okay.
Either one, either 7,501 or 74.99 is fine.
I mean,
And-
unless you just want me to put under and over in there.
That's fine. But, well, maybe you could do under 7,500, but then the other one's going to be 7,500 and more. Someone's got to have 7,500.
Right,
It,
okay.
that one time it's gonna happen to be like on the dot.
And then the only other question I have quickly is on RFPs. Do we truly get RFPs for equipment or services over 7,500? Because again, I think I brought this up before. We didn't do it for the garbage. So where are we really getting RFPs? And is that really truly our policy, $7,500?
Well, we've done RFPs for risk management insurance and health insurance before. It's usually big ticket things, but I think the reason why we didn't do it for garbage is because everyone just thought we were going to renew. I don't think anyone considered it until the last minute, because I remember asking, do you want me to call around and and everyone's like, no, we'll just negotiate this. So
Isn't that considered a utility? I thought
I
that
think
was
it
the
is.
reason, because it excludes utility payments, road, salt, and fuel purchases.
Well, I don't think they mean utility payments as far as the garbage service for the whole community.
no, that utility payment is ComEd, NICOR, stuff like that.
So just again, we have a policy, we need to be following it. And I did bring it up to Frank about a year before, once I realized it was coming due, but I just think it just didn't get the time and attention because there were other things that, shoot, we were still trying to probably approve that stupid handbook.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. But
So do you
I
recommend
have-
leaving it in exactly as is and just following the policy then?
I'm sorry, what?
You recommend leaving it as is at 7,500 and just following the policy?
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, in the past, I've done it for our audit services. It's not as though we don't do the RFPs. I just think the few things that have come up recently, we've just wanted to renew, which we have, the board has the option to do that.
Okay. Okay, just tweak those numbers above and that's fine. And then that other change we talked about. And then we're gonna approve this then, bring it, we won't probably take it from committee because it's not completely done. Is that right, Jeremy? Or how do you want to do it?
Yeah, that's fine. We'll just bring it instead of from committee, but again, it'll take the 2 seconds. I'll make a motion, you'll second it if you choose to. I'm not telling you need to second the motion. And then we'll tell everyone what it is, and then we'll just do a quick vote.
How fast does this need to be to Kelly to get it posted?
Probably tomorrow morning. What I'll do is I'll do it after the meeting tonight. I'll go in and make those changes. I'll send it out to everyone and I'll put it in the board packet for Kelly. Because I already sent it out, like, review this, you know, and now that I'm making changes, I should do that again. So.
Okay.
Now, is this gonna make Kelly redo everything again?
I don't think so. I don't think she's done. I think she waits until Friday morning.
Because of this.
She
Okay,
might make me go on the website and figure out how to swap it out. But, yeah, Kelly and I have talked about it multiple times and we're trying to get to a point where we have time to do things like that, but she needs a new method. That agenda is like an Adobe product and it's not hard to use, but you can't change it. You just have to start over. It's really weird and I struggled to even figure out how to use it. It's the first time I've ever had a problem figuring out software in my life. And when I was filling in for Joy, it's complicated. It's kind of weird, but I think there's got to be something more simple out there that can be edited right up to the time of the meeting, you know?
Mhm.
But all that research takes time.
Yep. All right, what else?
And the last one is the American Rescue Plan.
Oh, yeah. That, what I wanted to discuss briefly is that American Rescue Plan that Frank sent out basically said that we should be getting $185,000 this year and $185,000 in a year.
Mm-hmm.
And my first thought was, you know, we really struggled diverting that 100K from the CURE grant to economic development. And we decided to do that, but well, now we got more money. Let's put it toward this cash down payment. So I updated my spreadsheet and just put together some numbers. I mean, we wouldn't have to do the whole thing, but we have some options in between and we could definitely do better. I wasn't sure if anyone had come up with another reason to spend to spend it on, but debt's just as good as anything, you know.
Well, there were.
I absolutely agree.
Sorry, go ahead, Jeremy.
Oh, no, you make a go ahead, Julie. Sally, she had said, is there restrictions?
Yeah, infrastructure, water infrastructure was one of the allowed expenses for that money. So that was the same thing I thought of when I read Frank's email. I thought, well, shoot, we can put more money towards that. I can't remember what the other restrictions were though. Let me see. That was in that other PDF.
I thought I had it in my folder here. Maybe it's. Here we go.
It might not open anything now.
So this is Frank's, actually the person that works for Sherry Bustos put together this description, but it says, it could be they could use the money for premium pay for eligible workers performing essential work during the pandemic, providing up to $13 per hour above regular wages. In addition, state and local fiscal recovery funds may be used for water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure purposes.
Yeah, so I mean, the only,
There goes our negotiating.
unless there's a big project.
Or media, who is it we're trying to fire? There goes our negotiating power there.
Unless there was a big project that, for example, water wanted to do and like to finish looping a pipe that would save tons of maintenance over the years because instead of a dead end that they could use this for. Otherwise, it makes perfect sense to put it right toward the dead, save us $11,000 a year. I really like the idea.
I think it
And
would
we
be
just brought this up a
simple
couple-
too. I'm
Yes,
sorry,
and we
Jeremy.
brought up the public works. Oh, it's fine. We brought up the public works meeting, which is the last time we talked about this, and they didn't say anything. They liked the idea as well of putting it toward the debt, and didn't say anything about it putting it toward a project. So I think we do this.
And what I would like to do is just kind of hold, well, first of all, we have not received the funds yet. So that's step one, receive money. But once we do, I would like to wait until it gets closer to the end of the year when we have to make that cash payment, and then do another supplemental appropriation ordinance to be able to spend the money. But by waiting, I think if we get any other grant money, you know, we could do it all at the same time.
Mhm.
I love it.
You know, and I know there are projects that Chad does want to do. Jeremy, you're in Public Works, and you know, that's why I keep telling Frank I think we need a strategic plan, whether it's curbs, whether it's that retention area that they keep talking about. I mean, is there other things we can spend this money on and get them just checked off the list? I mean, it'd be nice to put that extra 100,000 or at least some of it toward the debt, but it's probably worth bringing up the conversation in Public Works, making sure they understand the restrictions on the money, and let's see what the best use of it is.
True, and we might not only get more money, because every time we turn around, we're getting more money, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
But and you know, waiting to the end of the year as well will give us time to have that strategic planning meeting and move forward from there.
I'm not sure we're going to have that. I haven't heard anything about it.
So shoot with July. We'll do a cabin weekend. We'll it'll work out real well.
Hey, you're clear. I finally see Jeremy.
Finally. All right.
Well, the meeting's almost over. The dark looming cloud has been lifted.
So like I said, I will talk with Chad and see if we can get some final answers, and I'll work with you, Sally, and see if we can come up with something that is a good piece of evidence so we can vote intelligently, informed, is what I was looking for, at the board meeting on Monday.
Okay.
Is there any new business?
Nope.
No. All right. We should have our new member next meeting. We are getting one new trustee. One more time, Julie.
How did that come about? I saw, is it Drew Pearson?
That is correct. He is a friend of mine, but he is a coworker. He's a husband of a coworker of mine who's also a friend. He is a nurse practitioner at Swedes, and he lives over in Greenlee. So he's always been interested in doing something like this. Their kids, they just had their second kid, so they're a little older now, so he has more time to be able to see what this is all about and enjoy really long meetings. So as far as I know, he would probably jump right into where Lori was, but that's a discussion for somebody above our pay grades.
All right, sounds good.
I have the next meeting schedule or on the agenda here, June 14th at 5, which is, I think I put it, yeah, because it's right before the village board meeting. Do we want to continue to do that? Do we want to try to do this week prior thing like we did now? Obviously, they're not normally going to last this long. I personally, well, I can see it two ways. I like it when it's all in one day. The other side of that is miserable because it's all in one day. But it is nice because it gives Sally time to get paperwork together if we wait.
What do you think, Stanley?
It wasn't too bad this time. I think I could do it that way. It's just any one thing could delay my report, at the last minute like that. But I mean, you guys didn't get that information until about 9 o'clock last night. How did that? Did you have enough time to look at it?
I looked at it from my phone after I saw it populate. So, and the only reason I saw it populate is somebody told me I should look at my email for something else. Otherwise, I might not have looked, to be honest. But I guess
as long as you keep sending them in one solid email like that, I think it's great because then I'm not trying to go through 10 different emails trying to find the different things.
Yeah.
I started a new process where I start putting together a folder of, it's basically a finance packet. And then I just copy and paste it into the email all at once. And I think it is better.
Yeah. Well, I kind of like doing breaking it up, but as long as it doesn't tax you too much, Sally.
Yeah, I could go either way. It is kind of nice to be done by Wednesday night.
Yeah.
It's nice for Kelly too, because she's waiting on everyone. I would say the only limitations I have are that I've been wanting to sit down with the guys from Public Works because they haven't been coming into the office, and pretty much every month during the pandemic, I have to tell them, like, will you please sign off on bills? I can't enter them into the system, all at the last minute, or I'm spending hours doing data entry. Whereas if I was getting them occasionally, I could just have them in. So that's just something in the new normal we have to work out. They used to come in all the time and it was a non-issue.
Can these new hires help you with those kind of data entry type things or no?
Maybe. That's a good question. I would have to, I'll think about that.
Yeah.
Possibly, yeah.
You use your brain on more useful things than data entry if we can help it.
Yeah. And it's not so bad, except when I have to do it all at once, on the deadline, and because all of the things in my report are waiting for that information to be entered. So I can't do the report ahead of that. And I think that's, right now, being caught up is great. And I would say that's my only complaint is getting that information. So, and, I'm not trying to, I understand why they haven't been coming into the office. It's pandemic and it's hard for them to break away sometimes, but I think I just have to talk to them and tell them I need, even if they come in at 6 a.m. before anyone's there, just once a week, it would really change my life for the board meeting. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
So what do we
I will
do?
talk to Public Works on that, on that as well, to see if they can swing by every Thursday morning or something.
Yeah, they could pick what day. If it's once a week, it would really make a difference. I mean, I typically have 40 to 50 checks in a month, but all these things have to be verified, and there's a lot of pre-entry stuff that happens before the entry, so it's just not a matter of 50 invoices. There's more to it. So anyway, not trying to
Okay, yeah.
complain.
I'll talk to them and see if we can figure out something there, or just let them know at least of what's going on and how it would be beneficial. They probably don't think twice about it. So let's shoot for that first full week in June then. Would you rather do Wednesday or Thursdays?
It would have to be on Thursday because when, like, I have a deadline for turning in those invoices. And so this week, my deadline was Tuesday so that I could do the entry of any that were left over on Wednesday and do my report on Wednesday. I need at least a full day. But also if you guys want to look at it prior to the day.
True. Okay, well, let's shoot for Thursday then. Thursday, June.
June 10th.
Thursday, June 10th. And do we want 5 or 5:30?
Right now, I could do 5. If you want to do 5.
And then, of course, this is pending our new member, if that works out. But we'll have something to walk in there with. Sally, does 5 o'clock work well for you? Does that work?
Yeah, that's great.
So finance meeting at 5 o'clock on Thursday, June 10th. Perfect. If there's nothing else, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Julie.
I will second that. Julie?
Yes.
Jeremy says yes as well. It is 7:23. Excellent job, everybody. Let's find that. Where's my mouse? There it is. Stop
All
recording.
right. Joy, whatever